What if I told you that one team's loyalty just became another team's golden opportunity? Let me paint you a picture of pure baseball chaos. Folks, picture this. You're the Milwaukee Brewers sitting pretty with your ace Freddy Peralta, thinking everything's under control. Then Brandon Woodruff, your injured veteran, accepts a qualifying offer worth millions, and suddenly your entire pitching strategy explodes like a fastball to a Louisville slugger. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays are circling like sharks who just smelled blood in Lake Ontario, and trust me, this feeding frenzy is just getting started. The domino effect that nobody saw coming, here's where the story gets absolutely wild. Yesterday marked a crucial deadline in Major League Baseball, the day when players had to respond to qualifying offers. For context, a qualifying offer is essentially a one-year contract worth around $21 million that teams extend to their departing free agents. It's a high-stakes poker game where players bet on themselves and teams protect their assets. The Blue Jays had their own drama to deal with. Bo Bichette, their talented shortstop, rejected his qualifying offer. No surprise there, as he's betting on a bigger payday. But the real earthquake happened in Milwaukee, where Brandon Woodruff shocked the baseball world by accepting his qualifying offer despite coming off an injury-plagued season. Now, why does Woodruff's decision matter to Toronto? Because it just threw Milwaukee's entire pitching plan into absolute disarray, and when chaos strikes one organization, opportunity knocks for another. The Brewers now find themselves with an expensive rotation commitment they weren't expecting, and suddenly their 29-year-old ace Freddy Peralta, who's making a bargain basement $8 million, looks like the perfect trade chip. Who is Freddy Peralta, and why should Blue Jays fans be losing their minds? Let me introduce you to Fastball Freddy, a nickname that doesn't even begin to capture what this man does on the mound. Freddy Peralta isn't just good, he's been consistently elite for 3 straight seasons, and in 2025, he reached a level that made even the most jaded baseball scouts sit up and take notice. Check out these numbers: 17 wins, 204 strikeouts, 33 starts, and a microscopic 2.90 ERA. But here's what really separates Peralta from the pack: his whip of 1.08, which means he's allowing barely more than 1 base runner per inning. That's the kind of dominance that wins playoff games, folks. And it's not just about the raw statistics. Peralta has become a master craftsman on the mound, wielding 4 different pitches like a surgeon with a scalpel. Opposing batters hit just .209 against his four-seam fastball, .173 against his changeup, .183 against his curveball, and a pathetic .157 against his slider. When you're making professional hitters look like they're swinging pool noodles, you know you've reached another level. This is Peralta's 3rd consecutive season with over 30 starts and 200-plus strikeouts. That's not a hot streak, that's a track record. That's reliability. That's exactly what the Blue Jays desperately need as they watch their own rotation potentially crumble with departures and uncertainty. The Blue Jays' rotation dilemma. Why Peralta is the perfect solution? Let's be brutally honest about Toronto's situation. The Blue Jays have talent in their rotation, sure, but they're also staring down the barrel of significant losses. They need arms, reliable, proven ace-caliber arms, and they need them yesterday. Keegan Matheson from MLB.com didn't mince words when he analyzed Peralta's potential fit with Toronto. He called Peralta the Blue Jays' dream addition in every way and labeled him as the single most attractive pitcher of those realistically available to Toronto via trade. That's not just praise, that's a full-throated endorsement from someone who watches this team day in and day out. Think about what Peralta brings to the table beyond his statistics. He's 29 years old, right in the prime of his career. He's durable, having made 30-plus starts 3 years running. He's got playoff experience with Milwaukee, and perhaps most importantly, he's affordable. That $8 million salary is an absolute steal in today's market where mediocre starters are commanding twice that amount. For a Blue Jays team that needs to balance competitiveness with financial flexibility, Peralta represents the holy grail, elite production at a reasonable price. It's the kind of acquisition that can transform a good team into a genuine contender without mortgaging the future. Milwaukee's impossible decision. The Matt Arnold conundrum here's where the human drama intensifies. Matt Arnold, the Brewers' president of baseball operations, finds himself in an absolutely brutal position. On one hand, he's got Freddy Peralta, a homegrown ace who's become the face of Milwaukee's pitching staff. On the other hand, he's got Brandon Woodruff's qualifying offer acceptance creating a financial logjam that demands difficult decisions. Arnold hasn't completely ruled out trading Peralta, but he's also not enthusiastic about it. Can you blame him? Trading away a 29-year-old ace in his prime goes against every competitive instinct a baseball executive has. But baseball is a business, and sometimes business demands uncomfortable choices. The situation mirrors what Milwaukee did 2 years ago with Corbin Burns, another ace they traded rather than pay market value. It's become the Brewers' modus operandi: develop elite pitchers, ride them through their cost-controlled years, then trade them before they become too expensive. It's a sustainable model for a small market team, but it's also heartbreaking for fans who watch their stars constantly depart. ESPN's Jeff Passan captured the shift in momentum perfectly when he wrote that executives interested in Peralta now believe Woodruff's acceptance drastically increases the chances of him moving. Translation: what was once a long shot is now a legitimate possibility, and teams like Toronto are preparing their best offers. If you're a Blue Jays fan thinking this is a done deal, pump the brakes. Toronto isn't the only team that's noticed Peralta's availability. Jim Bowden, one of baseball's most connected insiders, revealed a list of potential suitors that reads like a who's who of ambitious franchises: the Red Sox, Orioles, Mets, Angels, Astros, Giants, Padres, and Tigers. That's a lot of competition, and each team brings something different to the table. The Mets have unlimited financial resources. The Orioles have one of baseball's deepest farm systems. The Red Sox are desperate to return to contention in the AL East. The Astros need to replace Justin Verlander's production. Every single one of these teams could make a compelling offer. What does Toronto have that these other teams don't? Geography plays a role. Peralta would remain in the same division, which might appeal to Milwaukee if they're looking to maintain some competitive balance. The Blue Jays also have a collection of young, controllable position players that could interest a Brewers team always looking to reload rather than rebuild. But make no mistake, this won't be easy. The Blue Jays will need to put together a package that blows Milwaukee away, something that makes Matt Arnold forget about the pain of trading another ace. That likely means parting with significant prospects or young major leaguers, the kind of assets that make general managers lose sleep at night. The bigger picture. What this means for Toronto's championship window, let's zoom out for a moment and consider what acquiring Freddy Peralta would mean for the Blue Jays' trajectory. This isn't just about adding another arm to the rotation. It's about making a statement. It's about signaling to the roster, to the fans, and to the rest of the American League that Toronto is serious about competing right now. The Blue Jays have been stuck in baseball purgatory for the past few seasons. Good enough to be frustrating, not good enough to be dangerous. They've got offensive firepower with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and others, but their pitching has been inconsistent at best. Adding Peralta would immediately elevate their rotation from questionable to formidable. Imagine a playoff series where Toronto can throw Peralta in Game 1, knowing they've got a legitimate ace who can shut down any lineup in baseball. That's the kind of confidence that changes everything: how players approach games, how opponents game plan, how fans believe. But there's also risk involved. Trading for Peralta means giving up assets, and with only 1 year left on his contract, there's no guarantee he'll stick around long-term. The Blue Jays would essentially be betting on 2026, putting their chips on the table for one championship push. Is that worth it? For a franchise that hasn't won a World Series since 1993, the answer might be a resounding yes. As we sit here in mid-November, the baseball world is entering its most chaotic phase. The winter meetings are approaching, where general managers gather in hotel conference rooms and make deals that reshape the sport. Rumors will fly, reports will contradict each other, and fans will refresh their Twitter feeds, obsessively looking for any hint of movement. For the Blue Jays and Freddy Peralta, this is just the beginning of what promises to be a fascinating saga. Will Milwaukee actually pull the trigger on a trade? Will Toronto put together the best offer? Will another team swoop in at the last moment with an irresistible package? The beauty of baseball's offseason is that anything can happen. A team that looks out of contention today might make 3 moves tomorrow that transform them into favorites. A player who seems untouchable might be wearing a different uniform by Christmas. That's the magic and the madness of this time of year. What we know for certain is this: the Blue Jays need pitching, Freddy Peralta is available, and the collision course between Toronto's ambition and Milwaukee's predicament is set. The next few weeks will determine whether this remains an intriguing possibility or becomes a franchise-altering reality. So here we are, folks, standing at the intersection of opportunity and uncertainty, watching as one team's difficult decision becomes another team's potential salvation. Freddy Peralta represents everything the Blue Jays need: youth, talent, affordability, and proven excellence. The question isn't whether Toronto should pursue him. It's whether they can actually land him in what promises to be a highly competitive bidding war. Brandon Woodruff's acceptance of a qualifying offer has set off a chain reaction that could reshape multiple rotations across Major League Baseball. For Blue Jays fans, it's created hope where there was uncertainty, possibility where there's doubt. Whether that hope transforms into reality remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, this winter just got a whole lot more interesting. This is the kind of story that makes baseball's offseason just as compelling as the games themselves. What do you think? Should the Blue Jays go all in for Peralta? Or should they be more cautious with their assets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're as excited about this potential move as I am, smash that like button and let's keep this conversation going. The hot stove is officially burning, and we're here for every second of it.